Okay, welcome back everybody. I think I got my stuff together now. So today we're going to work on the temperature and humidity sensor, temperature humidity tester, whatever it's going to detect. Its communication mode is serial data and single bus. What's that mean? Everybody rides on the same bus. One at a time, one bit at a time. The temperature measurement range is -20 around is from -20 to around 60 Celsius. Wow. And accuracy is within 2 degrees Celsius. However, humidity ranges 5 to 95 RH and the accuracy is within 5%. Plus or minus 5%, so technically a 10% spread, but you get the idea. 95%, I think RH is room humidity if I'm not mistaken. Okay, temperature sensor is pinned on 17. We got that. And so here's our test code, and then the result is the LCD display, 1602 display, temperature, Celsius, and humidity when you breathe into the sensor. And you can see that the humidity rises. Okay, so I breathe onto that. I'll breathe onto that, and we'll see the LCD display change. Great. So, first off, let me turn off my webcam there. That will get you a better view, because now we have to dork out and do some code. So let me bring up my IDE. And if you're not familiar, just follow along. Let me see if I can bring this over here to where it's easier for you to see. And then I'm going to bring my window back up. One of these days I'm going to start using 2 monitors, but I have to do a home project before I can excuse me, I have to rearrange a lot of furniture to be able to make that happen. So what do we have here? We have this whole line of, I don't know why these asterisks are here, but they're commented out, right? So let's go to the bottom and we see there's the same thing. So we have we don't need these, but let's go read the notes and find out why these are here. So after this row of asterisks, we have a block quote. We recognize that from this piece right here. That's the close of it, and this is the start of the block quote. So everything within that's going, or not a block quote, but a block comment. Everything within those 2 tags is going to get commented out. And we have a asterisk file name, XHT11. Okay, description, and I believe this is supposed to be more like that. That's what we're looking at. This is supposed to be like this. That's why it looks all funky. It's not supposed to be code. It's just, and they spelled author wrong. So we'll fix that for them. Okay. So file name is XHT11. Reads temperature values of XHT11. The description, and the author is Key Studio. Okay. I don't know why the other ones didn't have anything like that in it, but it doesn't seem to be anything special. I'm going to separate that off. In fact, I'm going to leave it there for copyright purposes and stuff, so like just because I'm putting this on the inner tubes. Okay, so I'm going to start by okay, so we include wire.h as a library. We include liquid crystal ic2.h. This is a constructor. I forgot the name of it a long time ago. But when we see this pattern, it looks like it's called a constructor. We're building a liquid crystal. We're building a variable, basically, but we're building a liquid crystal and object, and we're giving it the name of my LCD, and these are its properties. So we have the 0 times 27, that should be like the size, and then the 16 is the number of characters across we have, and then the 2 is like how many, so like 16 would be columns and 2 would be rows. And okay, and then we include this library up here, which this XHT11, if you remember, this tells us it's going to look in the folder along with this, so we might have to figure that out. So we're including that as XHT11.h library, and off of that we're creating an object, right? It says variable, but this is a constructor. And so once again, it's the way that the constructor appears. You see, we're not declaring it like a regular variable. It says we're declaring a variable of XHT of type int. But we're making this object based out of this class over here, this XHT11 class. We're building an object based on that class. This is our class, and we're calling that object XHT. And why is this not a variable? Because look at it. It's a function. It's a function. Look, it's no different than this void setup, right? This setup function right here. Look, it's a function. It's saying create, and we're going to name this object based on this XHT11 class. We're going to call it XHT. Now, it might handle integer variables, as we're overloading it with a 17 right here. But that's the parameter that we're assigning it. So anyway, this is basically what you're looking at when you're making a constructor, and you can assign other properties to it usually. So we have, we haven't seen this one yet, unsigned char. A character is a type of, it's a data type, you know, like an integer, but it's a single character, right? So it could be like a lowercase w or an asterisk or whatever. It's like an ASCII character. And unsigned, we will have to check the documentation for that. Let's see, we have a DHT. It looks like this is some sort of an array, so we'll have to look up arrays, like how to build an array. Only the first 2 bits of data are... So let's straighten out our... We haven't even straightened out our code yet. We're starting to analyze it, but we haven't straightened it out yet. Oops. Okay. So let's see. And once again up here, you'll see this is a constructor too. We're constructing a liquid crystal display. We're naming it my LCD, and we're overloading it with these parameters here. But you see, this is a function, right? To create the object called my LCD. I know it's a little kind of weird, but when you see this pattern, just start thinking, okay, that's a constructor pattern, you know? And this looks a lot like a function, but you'll notice down here, a function has instructions inside of it. So we're making a setup, then here we have curly braces and closing curly braces, and we have things inside of the function that we're naming setup. Whereas over here, we have this function, but we're not loading it with any other code, right? We don't have any curly braces after this. So we call it a constructor. Um, and we'll continue to touch on that as we continue. So that's our setup function. Looks all set up. We begin our serial. We know about that. We run the init method from the myLCD class and the backlight method from the myLCD class. That's going to turn on our LCD. Okay, so the next thing I want to look at, I want to see where is the end of that. And that's down here. So everything within here is getting indented. Okay. Everything in there is getting indented. Okay, and then we have a if statement. And where's the close of our if statement? It's down here. Perfect, right before the else. Okay, so everything here is getting indented. Okay. And then boop boop. And that's fine. This can move up here. Okay. Okay, and this part here. And I think we got, oh. Should be most of it. Okay, so if XHT, let's see, we built this XHT11 up here. That's our sensor. And then what's the unsigned char DHT? We'll have to look up and see what this is, but I think it's some sort of an array. In fact, let's see here. New incognito window. Let's see if I can do this right. And let me see if I can bring this up. My incognito window. Where's my incognito window? Okay. There we go. Okay. So, back to what we were talking about. Go to this hamburger thing. We're going to documentation, programming, language and reference, probably under structure. And what was our question here? We bring up unsigned, and I think we want to look at arrays. So what does it mean for something to be unsigned? Let's try variables. Unsigned char. Okay, so an unsigned char is a data type that occupies 1 byte of memory. So that's like, what, 4 bits, right? Same as the byte data type. Okay, the unsigned char data type encodes numbers from 0 to 255. Okay, nice to know. For consistency of Arduino programming style, the byte data type is to be preferred. Okay. And so then this is saying unsigned char, and we would make it the variable, I guess, would be the name of it. Yeah. And then the value. So that would just be declaring a character of 240. So anyway, that's encodes numbers from 0 to 255. So that's what our unsigned char does. Now, let's look at, go back, data types. I think it's an array. Yeah, okay. Or an array is a collection of variables that are accessed with an index number. So arrays in C++ programming languages, Arduino sketches are written and can be complicated, but using simple arrays is relatively straightforward. Now, a lot of languages handle arrays completely differently. Like JavaScript, you can put functions inside of an array. You can make arrays with different character types, etc., etc. But like C# won't allow that. Everything is strict in languages like Java and stuff. So let's see. All of the methods below are valid ways to declare an array. So an int, myInt 6, and what did we do? We did an unsigned char, and we named it DHT, and we gave it a length of 4, and it looks like our values, we just gave it the values of 0, 0, 0, 0. So that's what that is. We declared an array. And then to access an array, that just means we built one. Says arrays are 0 indexed. Okay, most of us know that already. So it starts at like 0, 1, 2, 3. So my sense of, okay, 0. So that index point equals 2. And that index point, they would equal 4, so it'd be like 2, 4. Okay. We can play with that later too. It also means that an array with 10 elements, index 9 is the last element, right? Okay. You should be careful in accessing arrays, accessing the past the end of an array, using an index number greater than you declared, is reading from memory that is in use for other purposes. Reading from these locations is probably not going to do much except yield invalid data. Writing to a random memory locations is definitely a bad idea, and you can lead to unhappy results such as crashes or program malfunction. This can also be a difficult bug to track. Interesting. Unlike BASIC or Java, the C++ compiler does no checking to see if the array accesses is within the legal bounds. Or it says the array that... Huh, okay. Interesting. Well, that's cool. We're going to set that aside for a little bit, and we're going to continue looking at our code here. Let me see here. So let's bring back the IDE. Let's make incognito go away. And let me take one more look at the code real quick. So we included this library, we included that. We did a constructor, we made a crystal, called it myLCD, gave it these properties. We include this library. This library we recognize should be located within the folder, and these libraries are going to be found by the path of these locations. We're just doing that as a review. Constructor, we built XHT11, we named it XHT, we gave it a value of 17. That's our sensor. I think that's where it's pinned at. So yeah, that's what that's our humidity sensor library. So this represents our physical sensor. Okay, then we made an array and named it DHT, and we made it of unsigned characters, but we also Arduino programming language told us that it's preferable to use byte instead of char. Doesn't matter for right now, we're not going to change the code. Length of 4, initial properties of 0000, only the first 32 bits of data are received, not the parity bit. Okay. Setup function, serial begin, baud rate 9600, Initially we did all these. Loop if XHT 17. Okay. If that receives a DHT, did we make a DHT? I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay. If receive, so it returns true and checked correctly. If all of this is true, then serial print RH, serial print this. Serial print the character in the 0 position. Serial print temp. Serial print the character in the 2 position. Serial print C. Set cursor over here. Print all this stuff. Same thing. DHT. Character in the 2 position. Character in the 0 position. Delay 200. So if this is not true, then serial print sensor error. And then delay of 1 second for the device to read. So let's run it and see what happens. While that's happening, I'm going to make that go. Okay. So we got to find that library. So what I'm going to do real quick is Arduino, Key Studio, Arduino, libraries. And do I yeah, I have that in here in the XH11. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this code right here. And okay, I'm going to bring that up here. I wish that box would. The box is kind of an enigma. Sometimes it pops up when I want, and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to go this way. I changed my syntax over there, and I'm just going to add it as a zip library because we already have that, right? So go into Home, Arduino, Key Studio, Arduino, Libraries, and here's my XHT, or XH, whatever. So now that library is installed, and we run the code. In the meantime, I'm trying to bring up my webcam. Okay, bring my IDE back. So it's erasing what was on there before. And so what does our display says? T and H equal 26 and 65. So now I'm going to breathe on it. We see the hazardous gas light came on. Come on, you. How about okay, this is for science. Okay, so we saw the temperature went up to like 70 or so, and or humidity or whatever. But we saw the change. We saw it go up to about 71. Temperature roughly stayed the same, but we see the fluctuation. Okay, had a we saw the fluctuations in the code or in the on the display. So that's good. Everything's working properly. Great. So let's scoot this guy over here. And let's look at what are we going to do next. Next we're going to open the door. component knowledge. We're going to use RFID and the tag transponder. We're going to use the RFID chip, and I guess we're going to open a door display card on the LCD, and so we'll use the LCD and we'll use the RFID opener and some other stuff. So that's coming up next.